are stories that connect us to ourselves and each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid, wild colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. And now, exclusively on KGRA Radio, I give you your host for Soul Wanderings Radio. Here's AJ.
Hello, happy day, friends. It is time for some soul wandering, the opportunity to hear journey stories from all kinds of humans, all walks of life, who show up to share authentic pieces of themselves with all of us. And tonight is going to be yet another authentic evening of sharing together. I am AJ Rasmussen, your host, and I am so excited to have you here with us this evening. Thank you. Have a seat and take a listen. We're going to do some wandering. But before we begin, there are ways that you can participate with us this evening. If you're listening live with us, we have a chat room to play in. And the chat room is hosted on kgraradio.com. And while we wander with our guest, I also hang out with you in the chat room. It's an awesome way to interact in conversation behind the scenes and ask those questions that may come up for you. So if you do find yourself wanting to ask a question or two, you'll want to be in the chat room. And make sure you type in those questions, all caps, so I can grab them easily. And also, in addition, tonight, our phone lines will be open the second half of the show. Therefore, if that interests you, you'll want to take this number down. I'll share it with you now and a couple of other times throughout the show. So if you miss it now, be ready for next time. But you can connect with us through the phone lines as well by calling 85-KGRA live. So that's 855-472-5483. Again, that's 855-472-5483. So now that you guys have all of that great information, let's get to wandering, wanderers. Tonight, we have a return guest. We welcome back to the show Omarian Atman. He's an astrologer, and he's deeply passionate in sharing the information written in the stars. He uses it as a powerful tool to bring immense clarity to aid people in overcoming the many behavioral habits that keep us all from undesirable outcomes. Omarian is also the creator of the legacy effect, a revolutionary way to correct health imbalances from a distance before they actually affect the body. In addition, he's a graduate of Dr. Mandel's Institute of Esogenetics, a certified OGT practitioner, and the founder of Aculite Wellness, Legacy Astrology, and Legacy Effect Systems. He has over 22 years of field experience in all three realms and their practical applications to global consciousness, health, and interpersonal communication and understanding of one another. Please welcome me in joining our guest to the show, Mr. Omarian Atman. Hello.
Hi, AJ. How are you?
I'm so happy to have you back.
Yes, it feels great. Thank you for having me back.
Good. I'm glad it feels so good because I'm just warm and fuzzy tonight. I'm smiling from ear to ear. Right. I've been fortunate to have had some connection with you in the weeks prior to our show that have been amazing, which I'm sure we'll get to. And I'm just excited to share with our listeners all about you.
Thank you.
So you joined us. I went back into the archives to see how long ago, because it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
We're on episode 146, I believe. And you joined us on episode 78. That was a minute ago.
Yes.
So welcome back.
That was a
I'm
good
sure
show.
there's so many changes that have happened from then to now.
Yeah,
So
I've noticed. They're good.
Yeah, radio. But I met with you as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So, um, that was some time ago, and we have new listeners, or just as a refresher, because the time has been so long, why don't you catch us up a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do?
Sure, AJ, sure. Thank you. My greatest passion in my life is helping people, including myself, to understand self discovery, self exploration, understanding our connection with our environment, the people around us, the inner relationship we have with ourselves in heart and mind and spirit, soul, and our connection to our entire universe that we are perceiving that we're living in. And everything we're doing to measure that collectively as a race, human race, to understand it more. And that's been one of my greatest passions of all and through the history of anything I've been doing. That's like the core motivating force in me, you know? So the tools that I've been using, first and foremost, is using light-based technologies to help people reach their health goals very quickly. And neuroscience is finding this out more and more now as time goes by, that the body actually just requires impulses of light through the surface of the skin to correct a lot of neurological imbalances and damage to the system, rather than using heavy surgeries to get to, very severe neurological issues. And this is a fascinating study, because when you start really delving into the science of how light can affect health conditions, it just changes your whole concept of what we are as people in a really good way. And it's not just with, let's say, physical health problems. It's also profound with perception, emotional states, cognitive abilities, enhancing your sensory organs when you are sensing the environment you're in, or a specific point in time of a relationship that you're in when you're trying to understand the other. It's pretty phenomenal. So that was kind of the spearhead approach I took to start learning these things, is a study of light for health. And I've never looked back since.
Well, obviously, if it's that profound and that amazing, why would you? What do you mean by light? What type of light are you referring to?
Well, there's many different kinds for the human body. One of the most common today is LED light, even low level, what we call cold lasers, where they're not lasers that are hot that penetrate or cause damage. They're just bright enough to be seen like hundreds of yards away, kind of like a laser pointer, but not really. But the light that we use, what we found in our work, is that you don't need even that kind of intensity of light to actually affect the human body's health. All that you really need is a very gentle light source. Let's say within the range of about 1.2 volts of an incandescent light bulb. Very dim, very gentle. Now, what we put in front of that is a color spectrum, some kind of organic filter to produce a very specific color. And we focus that through a reconstructed quartz crystal. Reconstructed quartz just basically means it was melted down and then cooled to eliminate all the infractions and imperfections within the crystal itself. So it's crystal clear. The reason why we use quartz is because scientifically, quartz crystal has a very unique molecular property. It acts like an amplifier to any electromagnetic energy that's passing through it from point A to point B. So whatever you shine through a quartz, it gets amplified. Amplitude is the correct word. So it's kind of like a stereo system for sound, It just makes everything sound richer and fuller when you turn up the volume. And that's what crystals do to light. That's what crystals do to electromagnetic frequencies. And this is one of the main reasons why, even unbeknownst to a lot of people, quartz crystals are embedded in all silicon microchip technology across the planet.
Right.
It's a number
so
one
powerful.
thing. Yeah, it's the number one element that we use to store memory in a computer. Now, the irony to that is that the human body has 9 to 12% of pure quartz crystal within its skeletal system.
Really?
Yeah.
Fun fact, I did not know.
Yeah, exactly. So in a way, the skeleton acts as an antenna to forces around you from your environment. The electromagnetic energy you generate in your nerves and send it out through an emotion. It's all right here within us. It's pretty hilarious when you start looking into it. So a lot of the things we're building, it's already been going on in nature the whole time,
It just blows my mind. I had no idea. I thought it was really neat when I found out quartz crystal were in watches.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
everywhere.
They're everywhere. And so the method that we use, the approach is you want to think about this system as a form of acupuncture, but there's no needles involved. So we just use light and color on acupuncture points without penetrating or puncturing the skin itself.
Oh, wow.
And we just allow the light to funnel in to what's called meridian points. Now, for anyone who is not familiar with this term, it basically means this. There are devices today that you can purchase that actually can read and measure. They'll give you a gauge and they'll make a sound when you hold it on certain parts of your skin to find what's called an acupuncture point or a meridian. And what this means is that on certain parts of the human skin, there are magnetic lines that intersect, kind of like an intersection on the highway, right? And so when you find these points, it's amazing because acupuncture is you really discover by using technology, you can trace back what acupuncture has been talking about for thousands of years. So there are points on the body that give you access to regulating certain health conditions. Now, the thing is that when you start using light as the method to do this, it changes the whole equation of how fast you can get to the health goal. But it's not about the speed. It's about the quality of reaching your health goal, which is one of the number one reasons why I chose to do this work. Because when you're using light, the light seems to interact with the intelligence, aka sometimes the unaware parts of your consciousness that's connected to every cell in your body. And it works with that to help you get to certain health goals or alleviate certain health conditions really fast. And the good news is that science is finally waking up to this reality in healthcare because they're finding that we need to upgrade our approach to how we are getting people to health goals because a lot of the older ways of doing things, they can't keep up with the influx of people that are getting sicker and sicker because of the negative EMF technologies that are being produced, Mm-hmm. So they're just upping their game and they're finding out, wow, we can help people faster and easier by using light to talk to the brain. And then it happens real quick. And then they can go about their life,
It just blows me away that something that looks and seems so simple has such a profound effect.
Yes, exactly. Now, a lot of people have said, and those of you who are listening, they've said, oh, well, if light works, then all I need is just sunlight. I just need to spend an hour in the sun. That's partially true. But when you're dealing with specific health conditions, it's kind of like you have to help the system, your biological system, to recalibrate. So it's kind of like when you get a tune-up for your car, you just have to check in every once in a while, make sure everything's in place, all the spark plugs are working right and everything like that. And there's a very specific type of precision that the mechanics use to realign everything right so it can function the way it was designed to function. Mm-hmm. And this is what this work is really about. I mean, we have a lot of people, trust me, who come in and they they spend all their time in the Bahamas. They're in the sun all the time. So that's not the issue. I mean, even though they're getting a lot of sunlight, it's still not helping them with certain core issues with their health or with their mental or emotional states. And they need a certain specific kind of calibration that only focused actualization of color and light seems to work the best. Yeah.
Wow. So what kind of results are people actually having from your experience working with them one-on-one?
Okay, so
like long-term wise, especially.
Yeah, I can give you a few case scenarios without going too in depth about the details. But a lot of people come to me for various things. physical pain is number one thing people are looking for. I want to touch on this in a brief kind of perspective. I want to share things with you guys, put it on the table. Now, keep in mind that regardless of what I say, it's up to everyone to research this themselves. But I will say this about researching. This is something I've learned myself, okay, in life. When one looks for something with their ego, they never find it.
Mm.
When they look for something with an open heart and open mind, they find it real fast. Okay? I've had people bring to me documentation, like piles of papers, proving that light-based healthcare and all this stuff, in their mind, when they say, this is proof that this stuff is like, doesn't work. And then I'll just show them stuff from like NASA, how they use it on astronauts, stuff like that. But see, the funny thing is,
like that,
the funny thing is like they never found that, but they said they looked for like a year, right? So that's something I want everyone to really keep in mind. Yeah, I've had people even tell me simple things like they've looked for love for 10 years, never found it, and I'm like, really? Because I know people right down the street who have that. You should go talk to them. So it just depends on what you're using to look for something, Ego doesn't work. It doesn't let you find anything but, nothing.
Lessons, lots of lessons.
Lots of hard lessons, like don't do it this way. You're doing it wrong. That's what the ego teaches us, right? Okay. So to get back to your question, first thing that people come to see me for is mainly physical pain. Now, I'll touch on a few things with this. So what I wanted to put on the table has to do with the perception of pain in the body and what's actually happening with the cells. Okay. So I'll kind of metaphorically speak about a scenario here. Let's say somebody has knee pain that starts developing over the course of like 5 to 6 months, maybe a year. And they've never had any physical injury to that part of the body, ever. Not even long-standing postural, positions that cause the problem over time, okay? Let's say they've always been very healthy, right? And all of a sudden, they start being aware of one of their knees starts feeling really annoying, and then it turns into kind of gentle, acute pain, and then it starts turning into chronic pain until before you know it, they have to take things just to be able to function for a few days out of a week with their knee, okay? The funny thing about people who have this development, now keep in mind, this is not the only development that this can handle, Aculite itself, but this is one that I think people need to hear about the most, to be aware of the most, about the development of certain pains that we have that have no seeming physical causation to them. So basically, it's like this. Usually when people have that, I'll ask them certain questions about their life. I'll ask them about something that they really want to do the most, that they're currently working on, or they're striving to get closer to in terms of a goal in their life. Then I'll ask them how it's going. How's this working for you? How close are you getting to this goal? Are there any obstacles in your way? When we eliminate those questions, then I ask a very important question. How much fear do you have about reaching your goal and not reaching it? Okay.
That just gave me the chills.
Yeah. Okay. This is something a lot
Great
of people.
question.
Yeah, it's something a lot of people don't touch on, because to be quite honest, when people are asked questions like that, a lot of people are very hard on themselves mentally, and to even come to face with that kind of question internally takes a lot of courage. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and to be honest about it. So what happens is, what you start noticing is, in almost 96 cases, 96% of the cases I've worked with over the years with this condition and this specific kind of scenario of how it develops, it's the same outcome, the same reason for how this developed. And it has to do with, it is the fear in the individual that is keeping them from reaching the goal. And that's why the knee is acting up. Now, here's why, okay? In the past, in Europe, a lot of natural doctors who understood musculoskeletal emotional connections, they found a lot of findings about what I'm saying. And they discovered that every function of the human body physically, it represents something in the psyche, right? Hovering between the subconscious and the midbrain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what you find is that the knees have a very interesting physical function. Did you know that you cannot take a step forward when you're standing upright and nothing's in your way until your hips, one side of your hip has to lift the leg up that's about to take a step forward. That's the first thing that has to happen.
Right.
Has to tilt, lift the leg, right? Then the knee bends and brings the foot forward, okay? Now, the first thing to lift up is your hip. The first thing to move forward is your knee before the foot. This is the first part of your body that is told, move forward. I have to go forward towards my goal, whether in mind or emotion, right? Or in the doings of things. But if there's too much fear building up in the psyche, guess what happens? The knee starts developing a block that we call pain. Out of nowhere, quote unquote. Okay? So what we do, one of the approaches we take is we clear out the fear factor in the person's psyche first. Then we work on the knee. Because if you don't do this, what happens is, in most cases, and keep in mind, one of the things I fully believe in, everyone has everything within themselves to deal and to handle all health conditions. Now, sometimes this is just about having the information within to go and get something that you need, okay? But the solutions are all right. They're closer to us than our own hands and feet most of the time. Simpler way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But sometimes there are blocks in us getting to the thing within ourselves that helps us get to the thing outside of ourselves.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's the thing. Okay. So one of the things is it's fear. Now, fear doesn't hurt us. What it does is it keeps us from like acting correctly. Correctly means healthy choices. Yeah. Okay. So when too much fear builds up in the psyche, the knee starts reflecting what's in the psyche. The knee starts developing inflammation and nerve pain. Mm-hmm. Now, keep in mind, see, we think of nerves as they just tell us signals like, oh, ouch, this hurt. I just stubbed my toe, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But it's a two-way street. Did you know that? The psyche can send a pain signal down the nerve to that area of the body, even though you didn't hit the toe. Okay.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, the nerves are two-way streets. Okay. So if fear builds up about you moving forward to reach your goals, for whatever reason, the fear could come from that, let's say you're in debt, or you don't know how to bring this up to your significant other that you want to make a life change. Yeah, it could be anything, right? But if the fear builds up, the knees start feeling things happen to them because they're getting the signal from the nerves, which is connected to the brain and to the psyche. So the way that we look at pain in this system of approach, it's kind of like looking at the lights on your dashboard when you're driving your car. That's what pain responses are in the body. To us, the way we view it is, it's showing us what's really happening in the psyche, what's really going on with your approach to your own life and how you deal with it in yourself. Now, this is with no judgment to the person.
Right,
sometimes,
of course not. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because some people can just literally,
right.
They just don't know the next step. So that can cause.
And they don't realize that it's all interconnected either.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
That's something that you learned through the process and connecting with people like you or someone who could assist them in that way.
Exactly.
I really want to get more into that mind-body connection. I really love where you're going on this, but we're going to take a quick break.
Sure.
Because we get to do that. So when we return, we'll continue listening to this. I just have to say before we take a break, Omarian. Everyone's enjoying your voice. It's very soothing and relaxing.
Thank you.
There's some comments in the
can't see
chat room. So we're going to stand up and do a little wiggle dance and wake up because you're relaxing us so much. And we'll be right back in just a few moments.
Okay.
Nancy Vernon here with Ozark Mountain Publishing, coming to you from the Ozark Mountains of Northwest Arkansas. We are a publisher of New Age, metaphysical, spiritual, nonfiction books, as well as digital downloads, DVDs, and audiobooks. This is also the home of all of Dolores Cannon's titles. The company was founded in 1992 and has been bringing to you a varied selection of titles covering many different subjects. This year, we have added a new imprint to our company, Big Sandy Press. They will be publishing titles from the genres of historical fiction and nonfiction, paranormal fiction, and more. So be sure to visit our website, ozarkmt.com, and explore all the new and exciting authors and titles coming your way.
For more information about Ozark Mountain Publishing or their events, call 800-935-0045. That's 800-935-0045, or visit their website at ozarkmt.com. That's ozarkmt.com.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to getthetea.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's getthetea.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
The new KGRA YouTube channel is now live. Subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to stay up to date on the latest major announcements, alerts on trading topics, exclusive live streams, live video cast, and that's just the beginning. Be the first to know what's coming from the KGRA TV channel in real time. So keep it locked in to your contact for alternative talk radio on the internet. Your KGRAradio.com. Now you have the inside contact for alternative talk radio. The Planet. KGRAradio.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Soul Wanderings, heard here on KGRAradio.com. Tonight we are wandering with our beautiful guest, Omarian Atman. And just before the break, you were sharing with us the mind-body connection as far as physical pain and fear are concerned. And I love that you are bringing up this connection. It reminds me of the book, and I'm sure you've heard of it, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
Years ago. Yes.
Yeah, so I keep that book
Profound.
quite handy because when I'm having a physical something come up for me, I'll look at the reference. So, you know, if my wrists are hurting, I'll look and see why, or whatever that looks
it's a
like.
Great reference. Yes.
It's a really great book. So then I can go and at least have the positive affirmation that goes in line with what I'm going through. And most times, more time than not, I actually can heal that pain just from changing the thoughts in my head.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It's really
I'm so glad you're saying this. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's a fact. I mean, you look at it, honestly, this is how I look at it. We're all energy and everything is energy, including our thoughts. And it's all about shifting that vibration so that the lines of energy are actually connecting with each other, and like a magnet, instead of a magnet that's switched one way on one end and one on the other, where they fight against each other. And so it's
Exactly.
really neat.
Yeah.
But I want
That's
you to
right.
share. We don't need
That's
to
what
talk
it's
about
about.
me.
It's exactly what it's about. It's about reducing the conflict of communication within. So if I were to boil down what is health, it's about clear communication. Okay, now here's what I mean by this. Remember how I said I was going to bring up two kind of examples to put on the table, right? And I don't want anyone to take anything I say as absolute truth. It's up to everyone to kind of search for the answers themselves, yeah? And I can share what I found. And maybe you guys will find things out that I don't even understand about this and bring it back to me, I keep seeing this pattern with life. Let's take, for example, first let me finish the thing about the knee. So when we work on the psyche and clear out the perception of fear about the person not reaching their goal, remember, a lot of the fear that we have, we throw it into the future. I want to be very clear on something. Fear cannot exist in the present moment. Fear is either remembered from the past and or thrown into the future through the projection of the mind.
Wow.
Okay. So if you have
never looked at it that way.
Yeah. And I want to say this too, because it's about the body. And it's, again, I'm just sharing this information, not trying to change anyone's beliefs. And there's a reason why I want to bring this up for a later conversation. The human body itself is the same principle. It's not fear-based. It's just, it cannot exist in the present moment. Now, it's a very strong thing I just said that makes me people go, what are you talking about? Okay. Because when I feel really good, that's like present, right? And I go, well, it's different. Here's what I mean. When you look at the body's functions, everything, like when we look at sunlight or we touch something with our hand, when we hug someone or say hello, to a stranger, what you find is that the human body is operating on impulses and responses. It's adapting to an ever-changing environment. There's always a delayed response. By the time it takes the nerve from your fingertip to travel up the nerve, the arm, the neck, to get to the brain, to tell you that this is soft and this is hot, the present moment of the actual touch is already gone. It's not in the present.
Right. Okay.
You get this? Yeah. So the body is responding to nerve responses, photonic frequencies, and what have you. Kinetic energy, sound, all these things. And so electricity, when it moves through the nerves, electricity moves at about 700 meters per second. That's the speed of electricity. But to the speed of intention, which is faster than the speed of thought, it is as slow as molasses. So with that, the body you can do your best to get it as close as possible to the present moment. But everything you feel physically is in delayed reaction to what you are energetically, which is closer to the present moment. Okay. And it changes things when you start seeing it this way. Now, it doesn't mean that the body is like bad or wrong. It just means that there's something about the timing it takes to perceive things through the physical rather than through the energy.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to go back now to clearing out the fear. When you do this in someone's psyche about the perception of the fear they're throwing into the future with their mind as a projector, like when you go to the movies, the projector is behind you. So whatever's on the lens, it's going to be shown on the screen, right? So this is what we do with fear. We put this tiny little dot, this tiny little speck that looks like a monster or something. It looks like the obstacle, the worst obstacle we can think of. We put it on the projector, and then it projects. We're trying to play the movie of what we want to manifest, but we allow fear to be this little speck on the projector, and then it shows itself big on the screen, and then it convinces our perception that this is coming in the future. This is going to happen. And then we perceive more fear, right? But when you clear the fear out of the psyche and allow the person to see and feel their manifestation before it's happened more clearly within themselves, a very interesting thing happens. The knee pain starts going away.
Wow.
You see? So this is one of the mysteries why a lot of, let's say, kinetic, AKA therapies, physical therapy, or even massage therapy. When someone gets a massage for like shoulder pain, wrist pain, knee pain, if they don't address the issue of what built it up, if it wasn't coming from a physical injury, an external circumstance, right? And it's not coming from an internal toxicity from the person's lifestyle. It just started building up, creeping in out of nowhere. It's usually something happening in the psyche. And when you do physical therapies onto the afflicted area, it usually comes back within a few weeks or months because it's still in the psyche. Now, I want to talk about the biological response to that, what I just said, to give more clarity.
Okay, perfect.
Do you remember the Gulf War when it started back in the day?
Of
it
it,
was a
yes.
long time ago, right?
Details,
So,
no.
Yeah. So the funny thing is that there was this interesting scenario that happened back then. It was a few years into the war. So when the American troops started realizing that all of our vehicles were not designed to work in so much an onslaught of like sandstorms. So there was this laughable moment when the nation was realizing what was happening, because it was costing us a lot of like man and woman power, and unfortunately a lot of lives were lost because of this. But we had to succumb to using women's stockings, their leggings, to put it over air filters for like tanks and jeeps to keep the sand out.
Wow.
Okay. Because we didn't design the vehicles to be in that kind of environment consistently. Right. So another thing started happening that was really odd and very tragic. You see, for a long time now, a lot of military dog tags and vehicles have microchips in them. And a lot of the quick setup missile defense systems that were remotely controlled, right, by satellites, that you could just drive with a truck, set it up within less than an hour, and it would shoot down any thing in the air that was an enemy that didn't belong in the airspace, right, with missiles. But the problem was a lot of the technology that we were using back then with microchips, for instance, a lot of the U.S. vehicles that were driving back to base camp, secret base camps, a lot of these microchips would get damaged through warfare. And the microchips weren't working. So what was happening is the satellites couldn't identify some of our own troops as friend or foe. So the missile defense systems would just automatically shoot them down when they're trying to return to base. It's very tragic. Okay. Now, the funny thing about that is, did you know that the human body does the same thing internally?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So let me give you an example. When somebody has acute pain that turns into chronic pain, and they've had that chronic pain for more than 6 weeks, that's all it takes for the brain in your body to start making that pain become what's called permanent memory. Now, we think memory is just like a thought.
Mm-hmm.
No. Memory is an experience. It is the blending of the things, the events, the feeling, the pre-feeling, the after-feeling, and time, all wrapped up in the memory. It's one of the largest data packets in a human life is their memories, which is recorded genetically.
Right.
Okay. So when the body creates the pain that you've had for a few months as permanent memory, when you try to get that taken out through kinetic therapies like massage, physical therapy, and things like that, the brain sends the signal back to the area and puts the pain back because that's what it remembers.
Wow.
Now, I'm good. This is going to tie
That
into
makes so much sense.
Yeah, this is going to tie into what I was saying with the Gulf War and the microchips in just a second.
I knew you'd get back to it.
Yeah, right. So what happens is this. What you start finding out is this one thing that's interesting. When an area of the body is in a lot of chronic pain, that something interesting happens to the tissue, right? One of the things that causes pain is inflammation.
Yes.
Swelling of cells, which makes a swelling of tissue, which cuts off blood supply, cuts off fluids. Now, the human body has more than just a few fluids. A lot of people are just familiar with like oral fluids, blood, things like that. But the body has about 12 different fluids, and they each have a different kind of viscosity, like oil in your car. Viscosity is different from a race car and a truck to keep the engine going. And these fluids have to maintain heat distribution. So when one is failing, the other two have to take over and still function, but transfer heat properly. It's a very miraculous system inside with fluids. But what happens is when inflammation sets in too much, it starts to hurt a lot. And then the cells in that area are constantly sending a signal. They're all sending their emails to the nearby nerve that will get the signal to the brain when the cells are asking for help. We need help from this pain, okay? But eventually what will happen is if the pain happens for too long, too many months, the brain will start sending immune cells to eradicate those cells that are in pain.
I'm just blown away right now.
Yeah. Okay. It's really fascinating. Okay?
It just is really hitting home for me because, I mean, we have talked to you about my things, but it is super fascinating how very much connected it is.
Yeah.
And how easily it could be corrected.
Right. Pain can be raised to such a consistent level that the brain itself has trouble identifying its own cells as friend or foe, just from the pain signal alone. Now, step back for a second and think about that with people's relationships. Yeah. You see, when somebody feels too much pain in a relationship with one or many people, this is when the confusion hits and they start having trouble deciding if this person is friend or foe. Right? It's really fascinating. What is needed is some kind of alleviation to the pain, something that will come in and soothe everything. And the soothing process has to do with clearing out toxic levels and restoring communication between cells in the brain, where the brain no longer sees the cells as non-self, but of self. The only thing that does that is proper communication. That's the key. Okay. Now look at the world we live in now, right? There was a time when men who had to go find hard work, risky pay, right? It would bring a lot of return to the family. They had to go overseas and there was no internet. There were no cell phones. They had to write letters, which took months. One letter took 6 months to get to a loved one, right? Very delayed reaction. So there's a joke about the Game of Thrones. They were like, a lot of this story would have been handled much easier if everyone could text each other. It's kind of like that because there's a lot of traveling involved between the characters, right? They only know what's going on when they're talking to each other. It's funny, right? So it's all about this with life. It's about faster communication creates healthier outcomes. And what is health? It's communication. It's when your cells can talk to the brain and the brain can send immediate help faster than it did a year ago. This is what helps us to adapt to stress itself. You see, you can't eliminate the stress entirely in life. This is kind of a fantasy in a way, okay? Now, there are moments when we can get to retreat centers. We can, get away from it all. But there are still stresses that we bring with us into those, blissful pockets of experiences, So stress is not the thing that you can like eliminate, but what you can really change is how fast you adapt to the stress. So rather
So
than
it's like a rewiring of sorts.
Yes, it is. Exactly. That's what it is. And the rewiring is to get the entire system to understand itself rather than be in conflict with itself. Now, this is what's happening to the whole planet globally. Internet. Everyone is able to exchange information within minutes or seconds, where they could never do that like in the 80s, Everyone is able to see what people are doing so fast and then create things. And I know there's a lot of like false news and stuff, but I mean the good things, right? Mm-hmm. It's like people are able to see someone go somewhere that they couldn't go physically themselves, see this ancient site with these ancient hieroglyphs that are pointing to ancient civilizations that we were never really told about in school books. Mm-hmm. And then people are able to take that data and then create something at home, at the office, at work from that data, like real fast. Okay, so this is what's happening when we're living in the age of information. This is the precursor to this new age of humanity, where we're all communicating to each other faster and faster and faster. This is one of the keys to creating global peace. It's the communication. Because here's why, and I know fake news, but the faster people can communicate to each other the truth of the situation, the faster they can get to a solution, which takes them away from the end result, which usually leads to just war and fighting. You see? Mm-hmm. It's all about the communication. This is what's happening internally with all of us. And in turn, this is what's happening globally with all of us.
And why is it so challenging for us to all get on board with such a simple thing? Not so simple.
I don't pretend to know everything, but what it seems like from my observation is like, because we're all just getting used to this thing called like global communication. We didn't have this back in the day, so we're just growing into it, and we're learning like, we can create this to be a really safe place if we want to, And this is what I see, But okay, so the other example I was going to give was let's talk about pain from an external point, but this is a much shorter, monologue here. This is about like an external thing that causes pain. Let's say there's a thorn, that comes into the body, just penetrates the skin, right? So if the obstruction is the thorn and it passes through the skin, really tiny, but it's enough to get close to a few cells, and those few cells then send an immediate signal to the nerve, and then the brain gets in and then the response is, ouch, that really hurt. Mm-hmm. So my question is to the people who are listening and to you, where's the pain signal actually coming from? Is it coming from the thorn, or is it coming from the cells close to the thorn?
That's a good dang question.
Yeah.
Where is it coming from?
Where's it coming from, right? So here's the answer. It's coming from the cells. So the question is, why are the cells sending a signal of pain when a little tiny piece of wood gets too close to them? And here's the answer. It's because their purpose of being, their reason for being, is being obstructed. So they send a cry for help.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
That would make sense.
You see? So let me be clear on this. Their reason for why they are existing is being obstructed. And they know it. So they send a signal. And then the brain gets it. And then you do something like you reach down and pull the thorn out. It's that simple,
Like reach out, pull it out. So when I say we, us, and people in general talk about healing on a cellular level, that really is a thing that really is important to do.
The thing to remember is that when we get into the word energy is a very vast word. Okay. Now
Yes.
the system that I was trained in it's called ophthalmotropics for a specific reason. It means the use of light to cause genetic alterations on that level of the person's body. Because when you can change things on that level, the entire system from within, the cells, then in turn the organ itself changes real fast.
Mm.
And so this is one of the questions that a lot of practitioners never really ascertain. Yeah. Is what's causing the pain signal. So the pain signal is being sent by a living thing to the brain, because that living thing realizes that its function is about to be completely stopped.
Mm.
It knows this. Okay, this is a type of awareness. Okay, and so when you're dealing with the word energy, it's a vast word. There's a lot of levels to it and all this stuff, but a lot of people are used to dealing with their bodies in terms of just dealing with the pain syndrome itself. Like, I'm in pain, I need to get out of pain.
Right.
I just can keep doing what I'm doing because we are so time restricted these days, you know. And so, and I wouldn't even say these days, because to be quite honest, you know, back in 1812, people were just as busy, but because they had to do more just to live day to day, they had to chop the wood themselves all for weeks to get it ready. They still had to do a lot. The difference is that we have more information at our fingertips now more than ever. So it's not that time itself is accelerating. It's just that what we can do in a second, there's more being packed into that 1 second than there was 100 years ago in a human life. So it gives us the perception that time is speeding up. Things are getting faster. Okay.
So they literally are getting faster.
Yes, that's right. Because it's about what you can do in a certain time interval. How much things can you do in a minute? That's what determines speed in terms of perception. I'm not talking about driving down the highway, at 80 versus 5 miles an hour. I mean, when you feel like there's more things that can be handled or not handled in a minute, what does that do to your mind and stress levels, So the funny thing about all of this is when you get into energy, a lot of people are just used to dealing with physical pain. But to put this on the table for you guys, to share this with you guys, when something becomes a pain, it's usually because you weren't listening to the road signs before you got the pain. Things that were meant to warn you.
I believe
this is the funny thing about life, and I'm guilty of this too in a lot of ways.
I think everybody is.
Yeah, it's funny, but when you look back at the moment before the pain, you realize you did notice signs, but you didn't adhere to them. You didn't do anything about the signs, right?
Your body's always trying to communicate with you.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's the key about a healthy lifestyle. No one's perfect, right? But it's about what can you do right now to listen to the road signs that are trying to tell you something so you don't end up in a pain cycle.
Mm.
Because like I was saying earlier, pain causes confusion.
Yeah.
And then it causes infighting and all this other things.
Right.
Okay. War. Personally, interpersonally, and then community and then nations, right? So it's all about communicate, share information, share solutions. They say in business success, right? He or she who has the most plans wins. So if you have plan A, B, and C, and D, and you communicate that to your team, they're behind you.
That's a lot of planning.
Yeah. If you have more than one backup plan and you tell them, if this doesn't work, we're going to do this. And they know, and they can all kind of conceive it. They're going to be with you. You see? Now, the plans are about what?
It feels more safe.
Yes, because the plans are about adapting to a possible stress, which means it's not going to work. So the plans are methods of adaptation to a problem, aka adapting to stress.
Which then lowers your stress.
Yes, exactly.
Significantly, I would assume.
Right. So when you communicate the plans, the team, or AKA cells in that organ, they're like, okay, we can do this.
Oh, so good.
See?
It's so magical. Yes, I mean, our bodies, we underestimate them on so many levels.
Yeah.
So many levels. It just blows my mind. It just really is amazing, all of the things that our bodies are capable of doing, including healing themselves.
Yes.
Well, I have a few questions for you from the chat room, but we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll ask those questions. Plus, you guys, we'll be opening up the phone lines to you. So if you have anything you're interested in asking Omarian, it would be a good time to do that. And you can do that by calling 85KGRA Live. That's 855-472-5483. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
KGRA Radio is your interactive alternative talk media. Sponsored by the Paranormal Radio app. The KGRA rolls out its new high-definition call-in phone lines. 855-472-5483. That's 85-KGRA Live. The Paranormal Radio app hotline gives our listeners the ability to call in and interact with your favorite host. Post questions for the guest. And win KGRA swag like t-shirts, books, DVDs, conference tickets, and more. Your interactive alternative talk media. KGRARadio.com. You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, you are listening to Soul Wanderings on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, Salt Lake City, Utah, Hudson Valley, New York. And you can find Soul Wanderings here, as well as several other platforms like iTunes, iHeartRadio, TalkStream Live, Spreaker, Spotify, YouTube, just all the places. Search for KGRA Radio, and you'll be sure to find Soul Wanderings as well as all of the many other amazing shows hosted here on the station. Just make sure for sure you check out KGRA Radio on YouTube, because that's where all of the newest and latest show archives are being held. So just check it all out. We are opening up the phone lines in the second half of the show. So this is your opportunity to ask questions personally to our guest, which is a lot of fun to interact that way. There's also the chat room, kgraradio.com. Just click on the chat room tab and you'll be able to hang out with us. And speaking of the chat room, Omarian, we have a couple of questions for you.
Okay, ready.
Are you ready? One is going back to the chronic pain, and they are wondering if you've ever worked with anyone with chronic pain that was addicted to painkillers.
Yes, definitely yes. Yes. And that is kind of a vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But once you help the person relieve the things that's causing the pain, it's just an easy weaning off of it's easy.
Yeah.
It's just really like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll keep it simple. And then the other question is, are we all light energy?
Okay, so recent new findings in my discoveries of existence, consciousness, I think energy is a term that we're globally accepting unanimously. But I don't believe humans are just that. I think there's something else. Remember how we talked about the delayed response with the body when it's perceiving sensory things?
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? On another dimension, another level, energy is kind of the same thing. There's something beyond it that we haven't yet found words for as a culture, as a race, humanity.
Wow. Yeah, all of the questions and answers we have yet to discover.
Yes. So stay open, guys.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so be open, because new information is coming to us all the time.
Right. And it is too, which is so neat. It's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I have another question. It's a long one. Let me review it really quick. Okay. So follow me on this one. Pain and trauma, physical or mental, is unavoidable for humans. Can pain, trauma, especially extreme events, be a catalyst for transformation that ultimately makes us better if we have the strength to survive?
The answer is absolutely yes. There's a couple of variables there. We're living the life of a flower in a way, or a lotus, right? So we're born in a very dark place and we have to grow through to find the light. Now there's a saying that goes, you will fully open as a person when you are touched by the thing that you seek the most in life. Right? So if you believe we are light, guess what that means? You have to touch that, right? To really open to who you really are. Yeah. So absolutely. I totally agree with that question outright. There's just a couple of fine-tuning things, like it just depends on the circumstance, and sometimes the most beautiful flowers grow in the harshest environments. So there's just things to really consider, and I wouldn't take that statement and run with it and say it's the adversity that makes us better. No, I think what we are is that we are wholly complete beings, but it's our perception that keeps us from really realizing it. So I think the better point is, because the bottom line is whatever level you reach in yourself, once you're there, it feels familiar. Now, why? Every famous athlete finds this to be true. Successful person, once they reach that goal of attainment, the highest attainment, it feels very familiar.
Yeah.
Why? Okay. So, yeah, there's a lot still in question, but I totally agree with that question. Absolutely.
It's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very clear, concise, powerful question. I love it.
So, speaking of questions, we have a caller on a line for us. Are you ready?
Ready.
Hello, Ronald from Minnesota. Thank you for calling the show. Do you have a question for our guest?
Yes, and thank you, AJ, and great guest tonight. I never remember the names half the time of the guests. I apologize for that. But and what you're talking about is really interesting. And I had a thought about the light energy. You know, that we're light beings, if you will. And I believe that we came from there, and then we are here. You know, like there are some cases, you know, even if you go to the, not trying to be religious, but if you go to the Bible and quote some verses there, it talks about that God knew the prophet before, you know, he was in the mother's womb, okay? Now, there is also cases here in our time that people can recognize that they were being born, you know, and they have memories of past lives or experiences. Now, what I'm getting at is that we are energy before we become human. And then we become a human life, and we're still dealing with the energy issue, trying to figure out how to get that energy to work with the physical realm, which is next to impossible. To understand all of that.
Your name is Ronald, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Ronald. Thank you. Yeah, for bringing this to our attention. I agree. I do agree. This is exactly what I was going to segue into in the earlier part of the discussion, is that a lot of people remember their life before they were born physically. More and more children are being born this way. And they're talking about a place that they were existing in. It was very different from this, but very similar. And then they have memory of their birth process. And this is fascinating. And this is what I wanted to segue into, is that the body is, in a way, okay, let me just boil it down to this. So if you think, we're used to thinking of blood and bones and tissue and all these things. But when you get down to the subatomic level, you find a universe of a lot of, you know, spinning balls of light. Very odd shaped things that don't even look like perfect uniform things. But what you find is these universe of molecules, okay? And they're moving at speeds that are very fast. I mean, faster than the turbine engine of a F-14 Tomcat on full throttle. And your DNA replicates that faster than that speed when it codes DNA and then uncodes it. It's so fast to the human eye. They actually have to slow it down. The reason why I'm saying this is because it seems, to my observation, that the human physical body, the molecular structure of the body, the minerals, the atoms, they are nothing more than microscopic mirrors that are trying to reflect who you are from another dimension into this world.
Oh, I like that.
Does that make sense to you? Yeah.
Yes, it does.
So when we're in a dark cave and there's only one beam of light coming into the cave, but we need that beam of light to go all the way to the other end of the cave at a 45-degree angle. We need a mirror to reflect the light into the other part of the dark cave. And it seems like very crude, someone just standing there with a mirror. But imagine if a molecule had this purpose. Now, if you're made of like zillions of molecules, all in constant movement, what are they really doing? It's like they're making this cascading, multiphasic mirror that's keeping an image of you here held together through the forces of the elements of this planet. So your body is of the minerals of this world, but what's being reflected here is not. And this is what I keep seeing. Like we are all somehow otherworldly.
Okay, this will bring on a whole nother idea that I have, but you don't have to answer this necessarily. You can think about it or whatever. We can talk at a later date. But if I believe eternal existence, that's a phrase I like to use. And I don't mean that we keep getting reborn or that we're reincarnated or anything like that. What I'm talking about is that we leave here and we go back to where we came from, wherever that is. And then we can freely go anywhere we want, as that energy. Okay? Now, the interesting thing about that is that I've been becoming aware of some things in my house and, of course, some other levels of existence, which I never really believed in. But I also have been traveling to other places I cannot explain. And I remember them. I am in activity with people, like I'm talking to them, like I'm talking to you now. Yes. I'm talking to them in real life, in another place, not planet Earth. I don't know how to explain that. I don't know why I'm doing that. I don't know what the message is. I don't know who's sending me the message. I'm just giving you that a few ideas that I'm dealing with personally. I'm not afraid. I am aware of something is going on, but I'm not sure what. So I'm not afraid though, and that's a good thing. So I'm definitely willing to learn. And willing to
Ronald, study as much as you can. As much as you can, because the pieces are everywhere, and when you put it all together somehow in your own way, it'll make so much sense. But keep learning.
Shows like
document.
AJ
if I could say anything, Ronald, document all of the things that you are experiencing. It brings a lot of clarity. So journal them out when you come back or when you wake up.
I have started doing that. And when I have a strange dream, I write it down,
Perfect, yeah.
When the other night I saw, I was just mentioning this earlier, I saw a shadow person. I don't know what that means, but I don't know if it's good or bad or whatever. That's a whole nother topic that we can talk about at some point. But there's so many activities that I've been recognizing and not afraid now. I haven't seen any UFOs, though, and that kind of bums me out. But that's but anyway.
Well, keep like Omarian said, keep researching and studying and then take note and really make an observation like in physical form. That'd be really neat to see where your journey takes you. Well, thank you for calling in, Ronald. We appreciate that.
Thank you again. Very good show. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. So, Omarian, in addition to all of this amazing information that you've been sharing with us, you also are but you magically do these other amazing things like astrology.
Yeah.
I really want to talk about astrology.
Okay, we can. So
let me just
first.
I was going to say, let me just first say I had an hour reading with Omarian. Was it last week or the week before?
Yes.
Recently, before the show. I always know the power of astrology and how accurate it is and how it can help you in so many ways. But I had never had a reading quite like yours before. It was very in-depth and literally spoke to my soul. Like it's like you were just reading me from my birth date. Me to a very detailed level. And I'm still trying to come up with words because I always think astrology is quite fascinating and amazing. But the information that you gave me was so beneficial and it's so helpful. And I've journaled about it quite a bit because it's brought me into a new awareness of myself.
Yeah.
And I want to spend more time with you, which I'll definitely be scheduling. But I've shared this reading with other people and how you brought up this and you brought up that and how just precise it was. And that's what I love the beauty of astrology because of that. If you know your birthday, you can really find and time, you can really fine tune and get those kind of details.
Yes.
But the accuracy, and it's all just written in the stars for us.
Yeah.
Tips.
Yeah.
That's the mind-blowing part of it.
It is. It really is. It really is. I can start by telling you, like, my first reading I ever had that got me started with all of this.
Yes, do.
Okay.
I love this story. I remember this story.
You remember
Yes,
this
please
story,
share
right?
it.
Okay, so my mother, my beautiful mother, brought me to this third generational astrologer when I was about 14 years old. Her name was Kathy, and she had short hair and like down to her cheeks, and she's a mother of two. And it was wild because this is back at the dawn of the internet, when only like kind of the wealthy people had it in their homes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is back when PC computers were really like, everyone had an IBM computer, and the Windows had like just barely like dawned out and stuff. So she had to print this thing out on like one of those old printers that were really loud and took like 15 minutes to print one page. Like
right. The really loud ones.
Yeah, the really loud ones, right? So she prints out my chart, the basic astrological natal wheel, which is just a circle that has all of the symbols of the planets in the sky and a lot of numbers next to these symbols and a lot of red and blue lines showing the distance between each symbol and everything. The study is very in depth. You can spend your life studying just that one thing called astrology. And she stood about 15 feet away from me in her living room. We were standing up, and she held that piece of paper in her hand. And this is not an exaggeration to be theatrical. This is to memory. She's looking at the paper, and then her jaw drops wide open. And then she looks at me, doesn't say a word. Her jaw is still open. Then she looks back down at the page. Her jaw is still open. Then she closes her jaw, and then she says, okay, I want to tell you something. When you get older, you're going to change everything on this planet.
Mm.
And then she was continue to say, but you have to be very patient, and you're going to go through a lot of things. And then she was going to go into detail about like what it is, right? And then my mother got this big smile on her face, which she does with me a lot when I get surprised and stuff. So she tells Kathy, she's like, wait a minute, stop. Tell me in the other room. So they just talk about it in the other room. And that was like, what? I wanted to hear the rest of this, right? So my mother over the years, right, she would kind of piecemeal me the information,
mm-hmm.
right? But not in the exact order. So this made me want to know what Kathy saw, right? So I just like, as soon as I turned 16 and a half, I started ordering all these books, anything I could get on astrology. And it's like anything. It's like when you learn how to be a race car driver, there's a lot of things you have to really get used to. And it's very uncomfortable, and you just don't understand the concepts. You don't even know what you're reading, but you just know you want to know something, and you get very impatient. You go through all the motions of a beginner. And then you got to settle into it and really start seeing what the data is really trying to tell you, and then understanding your relationship to the stars, the galaxy we live in, how we perceive stars and spatial bodies with telescopic instruments and satellites. And you start getting really familiar with a lot of things. And then you start seeing patterns. And one of the things about astrology is you start seeing world event patterns when certain planets come close to each other. This is one of the things to get the human personality to understand and recognize patterns. I'll give you an example. Anyone who's a farmer listening to the show understands there's a certain time of the year to only plant certain things, especially during moon cycles,
Mm-hmm.
because the moon raises water to the tips of the plant or tree when the moon is closest to the earth. So there's a certain time to plant and water plants when the moon cycle is happening. They know this. They know that spatial body affects the gravity of water itself in living plants, which means it's doing it to us as people too. Okay. So they even know the patterns, the timing of these when it comes to agriculture. But if one of them, with that determination and doing that for years as a farmer, were to outreach that learning curve with the moon cycle to other things astrologically, they would have an easier time understanding astrology than most people right off the bat. just because of their profession. So what it did to me was it made me go into this deep search for years to find out, what did Kathy see? What did she see? So it's taking me all this time. And in the last 7 years, I finally started seeing what she saw back then.
Mm.
And it's all making sense to me now. It's like, oh, wow. Okay.
It's neat. You're like connecting the dots or the stars. If you literally.
Because, literally. And to be quite honest, I mean, it's more difficult for people to heal themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Or to find out what their destiny really is than to help someone else do it, because it's a little bit more difficult when we look in the mirror of us, right? But when we look in someone else's mirror, we can say, oh yeah, you need to do this. It's easy to see what they need, Mm-hmm. So a lot of astrologers, they suffer from this, where no one really reads their chart. They read everyone else's.
Right.
So it's really healthy for an astrologer to kind of dive into their own chart and really start putting things together and
so beneficial.
So beneficial. So that's how I get started back then with it. But I segued this work into the Aculite wellness research, because what I started figuring out was, it's one thing to help someone get rid of their physical health concerns by using light-based technologies and the science of light itself. But it's another thing to help someone not recreate those habitual lifestyle choices that got them into the health pattern in the first place, the disease pattern. It's much more easy on a certain level to kind of use the system to give them an awareness of things that they never believed could be seen from just a few numbers that they gave me about their birth time. Now, what this is also pointing to is there's a lot of life, okay? And you experience this. I don't really know your personal life at all. So the fact that I was able to share with you certain things about you,
right,
because you gave me the most accurate time of birth, that in a way gave you an experience to kind of see that there's something about life that's already pre-built.
Oh, it was just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It was dead on accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we weren't going into predictions. We were just talking about your life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We didn't go into the prediction part.
We were talking about what feeds my soul.
Yes. Yeah. And so a lot of people use astrology mainstream to just predict things. But the thing that I've noticed in the first 2 years of doing this work is, when you tell someone something of the future, without helping them understand who they are using the same system of astrology, they are unprepared for the event that you told them is coming. And most people, 50% chance they're going to grab onto the event, leverage it. 50% chance they'll just miss it completely. And they have to wait another year, or sometimes another 6 to 12 years for that to happen.
But it's neat that you can tell that in a chart.
Yeah, exactly. So my focus is to get people to understand who they are, what their needs are about first. Needs and wants are two different things, but to help them understand what their real needs are about, and to kind of talk to them about the best ways they can think possible or create a scenario to get their needs met. And then when they move from this place out into the world and accomplish things, it happens way more easy, so much easier.
Yeah, you can avoid things that are unnecessary to experience.
Right. Now, this doesn't mean I can see everything, and most astrologers can't, because, we're all human, and every system, every institution of education, whether scientific or metaphysic, it's flawed to some certain degree. So what I found is the best way to eliminate the flaw, which causes misunderstandings, is to integrate other systems of thought together. This is why I combined, in some cases, for some health cases, I combined the Aculite with the legacy astrology at the same time, because it gives a much clearer understanding of what's happening and what to do. But it's not always necessary.
I was going to say that experience would be really amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
We are going to share ways that people can connect with you here towards the end of the show. We're going to take one last break for the evening. And when we return, who knows where the conversation will end or be or go or anything like that. But you can be a part of it, and you can do that by calling us because the phone lines are open. 85KGRA Live. So that's 855-472-5483. And if you have a question for our guest, Omarian Atman, this is your opportunity. Don't let it slip by. Stay close, you guys. We'll be right back.
You can tug all day long on a carpet that's been glued to the floor. Then you hurt. There are many strong glues out there. Let's see, there's liquid nails and Gorilla Glue. You ever try to remove 3M 5200? That adhesive is strong. Then there's bathroom caulk, silicone rubber, adhesive tape, super glue, flex tape, and stickers. Graffiti. Scientists have come up with glues that stay stuck and can't be removed. Until now. Until Handyman Formula by DeBond. That's right. 95% of adhesives become unstuck when you spray Handyman Formula directly on them. Just spray, wait a few minutes, and remove. It's amazing. Most adhesives become unstuck when you use Handyman Formula. Visit DeBondCorporation.com or MCMaster.com. Call 561-575-4200. This stuff really works. Handyman Formula by DeBond, a great Christmas gift.
For the thousands of wounded warriors returning from battle, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps wounded warriors translate their military experience to a civilian job. These extraordinary men and women bring more than just teamwork and inspiration to the workplace. They bring proven world-class job skills. And to ensure proper placement, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right job fit. Talented, skilled, and eager to get back to work, you have the opportunity to hire a seasoned veteran. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Mainstream media's most wanted. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Soul Wanderings here on KGRA Radio. We're so happy to have you here, and especially our guest tonight, Omarian Atman. It is just lovely that you're here with us again, and I do hope to have you here more often throughout the year. We've talked about it.
Thank you.
I think it should be a thing.
Thank you. Me too.
Everyone is quite enjoying your voice and the information that you're sharing. It's just really neat to hear about all of the things that are going on in your heart and your mind that you're sharing with us. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for such an organic experience with the show.
Thank you. I love that you said organic. It's exactly how we like it around here.
Yes.
Authentic wandering.
Yep.
So during the break, Bill brought up a really great question, and it's one that I actually have here on my list of things to ask you. But we wanted to check in with you to see what your feelings were on the way of the world right now, energetically and things that way. Like, what does it feel like or look like to you on a conscious or unconscious level?
Okay. What I believe is happening to all of us is a lot of astronomers notice this. We're getting a lot more solar radiation from the sun, from solar flare activity than ever before. And this always causes massive world events, environmental changes, and things like this. Now, I know the world is going through the throes of environmental destruction, and we're all coming to face with what we've done to the planet. And we all are very responsible, but at the same time, the solutions are within reach. So I'm not here to make anyone overly concerned about the future, but I am here to share a solution that I think really needs to happen with all of us at some point, whether in big ways or small ways.
Beautiful.
I just want to say this. Do you remember when 2012 was happening? A lot of people were writing about, the world changing in this catastrophic way.
Right.
The funny thing I noticed about that is it was a lot of men that were writing books about what was going to happen to all of us in 2012. Okay.
And creating fear.
It was a trip. And it's kind of like, I mean, the human mind, not the mind, forgive me, the brain, it's kind of wired for drama. So one of the things I've noticed with personal development is the one thing we can do is to rewire our brains to counteract the addiction to drama, and to rewire it for an acceptance and a habitual process of creating miracles. Well, what do I mean by that? These are things that happen that don't require time and perception. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when they are perceived, it's like, whoa, where did that come from? It's a miracle. But I mean real ones, things that bring solutions. Mm-hmm. So I noticed that men were just saying this stuff about like the world is going to change. We're all going to go through all this weird stuff. But no, women weren't saying that. Like for the 2-year build up to 2012.
Why do you feel that is?
But here's the thing. This is what's so funny. Like, think about it for a second. It's hilarious. If that was going to happen to us back then, women would be having dreams about that stuff. They would be like waking up going, honey, you have to build an ark like today.
Right.
They'd be warning all of us.
Because of the magical, intuitive beings that we are.
Yes, exactly. The majority of women would have been collectively in an emergency mode. Mm. And I didn't notice that happening. And that's what made me stop listening to the doom and gloom syndrome from the 2012 writers.
Observant.
Yeah. Right. Because it's like not saying you guys are this creature, but it's like women are kind of like catfish. You're like living barometers, right? So if there's an earthquake, you guys are going to feel it before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to warn everybody. Like
accurate.
That. So the majority of women, right, and also the very intuitive men too. So, but that being said, what I feel really needs to happen with the world, with all of us, is this one thing. Remember what I said about the internet, how it's making us communicate to each other faster and faster and faster. I mean, what would be the cost production of doing this kind of show back in like 1985, right? A lot of stuff, right? A lot of things would have to happen. A lot more funding, a lot of stuff, red tape and all this. So this is giving us freedom of communication, which gives us freedom of choice because we can adapt to problems faster. Now, the way to adapt to a problem is to know the information that needs to be put in the situation to overcome the problem or to turn the problem into a solution. But you need information for that. Okay. So the world is facing this. We're on the cusp of this amazing exchange of data between each other in real time. And all of us are experiencing this one thing. This is the juice of what I want to share with you guys who are listening. The one thing I keep noticing, if I remove all of my expertise, and I just look, what I keep seeing is this fundamental phenomenon happening with people more and more who don't even believe in it. And what it is, it's instantaneous telepathy. right before they get a text. People are having 2 to 3 second complete clarity thoughts about the person texting them right before they receive the text from that person.
So that's not just me.
Right.
Because that's a thing.
Exactly. It is a thing. Okay, now listen how funny this is, okay? The human body is very electrical. It loves light as a main form of communication. We have things called mitochondria that live inside of our cells. They're living plants. They're photovoltaic, solar powered. They're chlorophyll based. They are literally symbiotic plants that live inside of all of our cells.
Wow.
They convert light into electricity. They downstep it. So anyone listening, if you go online and look up the term fusion reactor and look at what's inside, how it's designed, they basically shoot a red laser through a maze that's made of mirrors. I'm talking floor, walls, ceiling of the maze is nothing but a mirror. By the time the red laser goes through the mirror and out the other side, because it's only looking at itself through the journey, the billionths of a microsecond journey through the maze, it has seen nothing but itself 360 degrees, reflecting the light it's giving off back to itself. And that's how you turn a red laser into a violet one, which is a higher frequency, more powerful laser. You have to send it through a maze of mirrors. By the time it gets back to the same chamber that it was shot from, it hits this tiny little ball of metal, and it shears off just like a billionth of an inch surface of that metal, and it makes the metal teleport into a higher dimension. And in that process, that thin sliver of metal releases enormous amounts of energy to power like whole cities. Okay, this is kind of a technological example of the word ascension spiritually.
Okay.
You get it? Okay,
That makes
so
sense.
you get it. So what's happening with all of us is the mitochondria in our bodies that use light, they're mini fusion reactors. If you look up the word mitochondria, you will all see on the images of Google what they look like when you cut them in half. They look like organic mazes. And that's what they do. They capture light. They can downshift the light to a lower frequency or make it go faster. Turn the frequency into a higher frequency of light and then release that to your cells, giving your cells energy and power. Now, when we're born, we have like 30 to 35 in every cell when we're kids. That's why kids have so much energy all the time. When we're older, in our 70s and 80s, we have like 4 or 3 mitochondria per cell. We're not converting light into power as much anymore. This is why it's very important for people to eat chlorophyll-rich foods. So the reason why I'm saying this is because it's about the light. The light is what's sending and receiving the information. The data, it rides on carrier waves, which is another way of saying electromagnetic wave, which is another way of saying light. Okay, this is what's making us understand each other faster and faster. And what's happening with this revolution of like information and communication, we are feeling each other's thoughts, everyone.
Yes.
Gradually, more and more every month.
I believe that.
That goes by. What this is doing is this habitual thing. And keep in mind, I'm very aware people are getting into a lot of trouble texting when they shouldn't be and things like that. I'm not here to encourage that. But it's about knowing the global reflex that's being developed. It's training even the people that don't believe in empathy and telepathy to be telepathic. Now, this is one of the fundamental things that I believe it has to happen to a certain global quota. A certain percentage of the population has to get there. Like a lot. And then the wave it pulls everyone else there even more. But it's about that. The why is because of this. Let's say, AJ, you or Bill, right? You guys have this solution in yourselves, secret solution about something that you never expressed to anyone your whole life. And it may even be buried in your subconscious mind somewhere, okay? But if the three of us had complete telepathy and empathy at the same time, and I don't mean telepathy in a intellectual sense, where it's like you speak and then I speak. It's kind of closer to what they showed in that movie, the original movie, The Dark Crystal.
Oh, I love that
Right.
movie.
Remember that, right? That scene where the two gelflings, they touched hands for a second.
Yes.
And then what did they call that? Like, it was like mind melding or something, or dream
Something like
fasting,
that, yeah.
something like
I can't
dream
remember
fasting.
exactly. It's been a long
And
time since I've seen that movie.
simultaneously, they were seeing and hearing each other's thoughts at the same time within each other's minds at the same time. Like, so it was like watching two movies at the same time, whether you're hearing the sounds, seeing all the actions, right? But you could perceive both easily. So what that did is it gave them a download of the complete history of what they are. Okay. Now that was just used for a download sense. And notice in the movie, they didn't have that continuously through the movie, which would have helped, right? But this is what I mean. There's something about the human system, let's say the body alone. And as the guest caller was saying, people are memories of who they were before they came into the physical being born. So there's something about, we all have this massive form of telepathic amnesia, but the solutions you carry in yourself, if I had access to that solution, let's say I was a producer and I knew how to get that solution to a global problem that you know in yourself out there, if I had telepathic access to it. Now, the fear factor with this is people are terrified of other people finding out about what they really think.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something
that would
you see what I'm saying? That's like the first thing, right? So there's kind of like this information security thing. I mean, we're freaked out when people try to hack our emails and stuff. It's no wonder, right? But this is the thing I'm saying. That dream fasting thing in that story kind of showed you that the point is, when you reach a true level of telepathy, it's not just like reading a book. Like, you feel everything the person felt. You understand where they're coming from. It's more than just walking in their shoes for a lifetime. The things that they are ashamed about match some of the things you're ashamed about, and you see that in each other. And there's something that happens with this where the frequency of the word compassion and forgiveness comes right into the mix. A lot of people talk about the frequency of this, the frequency of that, the frequency of love, and it's beautiful. But there are frequencies for these things like compassion and forgiveness. They have a frequency, and they actually make a bridge. So the thing you fear of revealing to your neighbor. But the funny thing is, when you look at this, that when the frequency of forgiveness comes in, it alleviates the fear. It makes you know everything's all right. This is not what it's about. But what this is about is, it's not about focusing on your fears on a telepathic level. It's about finding the solution that you know that you can share with another person fast. So if we had this globally happen to us as a race, all of us, okay, what you would find is this scenario, okay? Let's say a doctor all of a sudden had this ability unlock in him for whatever reason. Maybe it's because he just prayed every day for it, okay? He found the path to it, right, in his own way. All of a sudden, his mind is flooded. And I know there's probably a lot of neurological, fail-safes, and you can't do that because this will overload his emotions. But let's just say in a perfect world, his mind opened up to about 10 people that he'd never met before in his life. And in an instant, in 5 minutes, he knew that 2 of those people were going to drive across the country because they had something that he needed.
Oh my.
Okay. And then the other people, let's say one of them is like a 16-year-old kid, right? Who is in telepathic contact with this doctor in the middle of surgery. He's doing surgery. And the kid says to him telepathically, "Oh, I know I can feel you're hungry. I'm going to bring you some food. I'm going to bring you some really good organic food." So the doctor then is like, "Okay, I don't have to go to lunch. I don't have to leave. I'm already taken care of." And what if this happens to him over the course of like an entire day, when his telepathic web goes out to more and more people? Okay. And they're all aware of what they need. He knows what they need, and he may have it. He may have the money to help them get what they want, but not the time. Okay. You see what I'm saying? And so all of a sudden, his whole reason for doing what he's doing as a profession starts to shift within 24 hours.
Incredible.
He starts to then stop working for just money, because he knows there are people out there that have his back. They're going to show up and exchange things and make things happen, and everything's going to be fine. You get how this works?
Yes,
So
and I'm just sitting here thinking about how this would change everything. for us.
everything.
Everything. And how we would actually be working together.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it's about. Now, theoretically, it may happen first with the purest of minded people
Mm-hmm.
because they have less to hide from each other. Do you see?
Right.
And they will teach us, the other ones who don't have such pure intentions, how
Right,
to have.
right.
And then the doors will open in their minds to do this. Okay. Now, it's funny that the caller spoke about, he said, when you notice that thing he said, I'm not a religious person, but he mentioned this thing about the Bible. And I find patterns even in what they call the good book interesting when you compare it to even older spiritual information from different cultures. Mm-hmm. And you start seeing these similar patterns. And one thing that's really interesting is the Course in Miracle book.
I love that book.
Course in Miracles, right? So they say this very interesting thing in there where they say the reason why the Son of the Father can do the miracles he performs is because he remembers his Father completely. And his Father remembers him completely. And it literally says they do not block each other's minds to each other.
Mm-hmm.
This is fascinating to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I believe it's, God, the Son, and the Mother, right? I believe that's the real Trinity, right? So I think it's about this. I think everything is about memory, but it's not just about individual memory. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to remember everything you've ever been since you left eternity and came here. That's huge. Changes you outright. Okay.
Right.
But it's another thing to have access to everyone else's memories. And they have access to yours. This is what makes us a more complete, conscious humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I kind of have a belief that if the second coming is going to happen, and again, I'm not a religious person, but just to use that to reach cross borders with communicating here, mm-hmm. I believe the second coming is going to happen within all of us. It's subtle and very powerful, but it has to do with being connected to everyone without fear of each other. And it's about they have a solution that you can't really reach, but they know you need the solution, but they can help you reach it because they're close by and they know you need this thing. And they just drive up and they're like, here. And they don't even say anything. They just look at you and they know you need it. And then they drive away. And then you do that to someone else. You just help them along. So, and then all of a sudden what you'll have homeless people helping the wealthy. They'll be homeless, will just be doing, and vice versa. And all these things, these class systems will start dissolving. And the funny thing is that this is another thing about health, about the mind. The mind is what is perceiving the body, the soul, and the spirit. Those three things about you. And one of the things I've been observing is this. I'm going to share this, put it on the table as well. I started discovering over time these three things with existence. There's something called eternity, or the eternal, which has no beginning and no end. I want to kind of describe this place. This is a place that doesn't require traveling. There's no such thing as distance or size. There's no reason to learn anything. There's no necessary reason to learn in the realm of eternity. Now, this is a place that's not to be mistaken with the word purgatory. Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
Instead of saying where you wake up every morning, it's the same eggs every morning, that's purgatory. Okay. So this is different. This is a place where bodies are not required to go here and go there to get things, to learn things, to do things, to understand things, because the eternal is everything. Okay. And then there's a place called infinity.
Which would be different. How?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. This is the place we enter where there are things to do, things to have, things to be, things to become, things to see. Okay. Things to experience.
I was going to say the experience.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Right. And then there's something called time. Now, I know the general consensus is time doesn't exist, right? But I have a different perspective. The three things that I'm honing in on lately in the last 3 years, ironically, there's eternity, infinity, and time. Okay? Another way of saying it is this. There's eternity, infinity, and the body is a time machine. This is about the processes I was talking about an hour ago. There's a time delay when you touch something for the signal to reach the brain. The whole body is about delayed responses to the actual present moment. What is the real present moment? It's eternity.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get there? The path is through infinity. Okay, so.
And ultimately, that is what we are doing. We're just doing it in a very human way.
Yeah. Now, this is the thing. There's another factor. The mind is perceiving these three things. And I'm not saying the body is like, I'm not trying to make it wrong. It's just like this. There's a point where the things you have to do with the physical body, when you plug into the power of your soul, and then you plug into the power of your spirit, which are two different things.
Very.
Spirit is eternal. Soul is infinite. What is infinity? The basic way I can describe it without being long-winded, if infinity is like the recycle logo on your trash can. That's infinity. It means this thing over here is your car, but in 10 million years, the atoms in this car are going to become a star. It's going to be recycled into something else. That's infinity to me. But eternity is not that. Time requires distance and travel, understanding, doing, right? Stopping, going, sleeping, being awake, all these things, these processes happen in time. That's a body universe. When you get to an airport, this is the funny thing. When you get to an airport, you can't take your car with you on the plane. You notice that? You have to park it and leave it behind because there's a place that your car cannot bring you because it has wheels, right? But soon cars will fly, so that'll change too.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to that.
You see what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? So there's certain things, and this is what people find in deep, highest levels of meditation. They get into this quiet space because there's certain things they are doing in other realms that their body cannot go to. It's like that's how they park their car. It's meditation.
I love all of these analogies.
You see?
It makes it more tangible.
Yeah.
It's so neat. I really want to get into this more. And of course, you bring up this juicy stuff right at the end of the show. Thank you.
Well,
so that means we'll definitely have to have you back because how can we just end there? We need to have a part 2.
Part 2 it is.
Or in your case, a part 3.
Yes, my favorite number.
3 is your favorite number?
One of my favorite numbers, yeah.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And if we had more time, I'd ask why on air, but I want to know if you would be willing to share.
Sure.
It's just a really random number. I don't usually hear people say 3 is their favorite. So really quick, because we're running out of time, how can people follow you and receive services from you and all of that good stuff?
Yes, it's very easy. You can just go to omarianatman.com. OMARIAN as in Neptune. And the last name is like Batman, but without the B. It's ATMAN.com.
Well, there you go. Just like that. All of his information is there, you guys. So he has memberships and services and products, even though I did notice you didn't have a whole lot of products on there, but he actually has his hands on a lot of really great tools that he can share with you if you get in touch with him. Different events and all kinds of things. So definitely go and check out his website, omarianatman.com. Thank you again for being here with us.
Thank you so much.
It's been.
for all of you making this possible for me. I'm eternally grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. And you guys, if you loved this show, follow it on social media so you can see all of the latest information with guests and extras. And there's going to be a lot more that is going to be happening this year with Soul Wanderings. So stay close so you can be in the know. And of course, make sure you follow all of KGRA Radio on all of the platforms I've mentioned earlier, especially YouTube for all of the latest show archives. And thanks everyone for being here with us tonight. And my producers, you guys are the best. And the listeners, my wanderers, wow, I am just so blessed by all of you. Have a beautiful night, everyone. Good night.